Hi, welcome to Christina's Knitting Catch-Up episode 32. Today is Sunday the 2nd of April and it's a pretty cloudy day here in Canberra, and so the lighting might be a bit funny, but we'll just deal with it. Okay, so this is a knitting podcast, and you can find me on Ravelry as Chrissaah, that's ChrissAAH, and we have a Ravelry group which is just Christina's Knitting Catch-Up, where we have knit-alongs and other discussion. You can find me on Instagram as Cutiful Christina, and I sell hand-dyed yarns on Etsy under the name Cutiful Yarns. So please do come and follow me there. So today I've got a few works in progress to show you. I haven't finished anything, but it's been 2 weeks since I recorded, so I've got a lot to show you. So I'll start with something easy. So this is just the first of a pair of socks that I'm knitting for my brother-in-law. Sorry, that dinging is the needle on my cup of tea. So there it is. This is a toe-up sock, and I always do the same sort of thing. I always do Judy's Magic Cast On, which gives a really nice seamless toe. You can't see where it's cast on. And then I just do increases up the side until I'm happy with it. I use, sorry about that. I use a cutout, and I just wrote that I cast on 14 and that by here I want to have 32 stitches on each needle, 34, 36, so that I get these increases. So that when I do the next sock, I'll know what I did without having to study this first one. The yarn is, I'm sure you can tell, the yarn is Knit Picks Felici, which is their striping, self-striping sock yarn, which is nylon and merino. And like everybody is saying, I wish that the stripe pattern was a bit more striking. Like we've got two dark colours here next to two really light colours. You can't tell the difference between these from a distance. You sort of can. So I kind of wish that this one had been in between here instead, or something. I think it would have made it a bit better. But it's still nice, and I think he'll like them. His birthday's in July, so I'm taking my time. It's just knitting that I can do outside of the house. I don't need to think about it very much. I'm keeping that in my little Boston bag from Pink House, which is, I think it's a Japanese fashion brand actually. I got it in a magazine when I went to Japan. I'll even show you the magazine. I got it in this magazine, so you can see. I thought it was going to be a big Boston bag, but it does say mini, but you know, you never know in Japan what you're going to get. And this magazine just has, it's very cute. I never went to a Pink House shop, but it's got cute clothes in it. Cute clothes and aprons and stuff. Very sweet, sweet looking fashions. And actually, so that was when I went to Japan last year in 2015. And the time before, when we went to Japan, which was in 2012, I got a different Pink House magazine, and I got a large Boston bag with it, which was more this colour, which I use sometimes to go away with. So that was a bit random, but now you know. So the next thing I've been working on, and this is something I started new, was a top-down baby cardigan. It's not finished. I need to do the sleeves and the neckband and put on buttons. So it does have buttonholes. Don't know if you can see that. It does have buttonholes. Instead of doing horizontal ribbing for the button bands, you do vertical ribbing and you knit it at the same time as the rest of the cardigan, which is kind of nice. And I made this out of 2 Muck Valley yarns dipped in rainbows in the denim colourway, which is just lovely. And of course I still need to do the sleeves and the collar. And the pattern is top down basic baby cardigan, and it's free on Ravelry. I'm just looking it up. And it's for a 100-gram skein of fingering weight yarn. And there are a lot of very cute finished projects on that page. So yeah, I did this. I think I used 3.2, no, maybe just 3mm needles. I'm not sure. One of them. Yeah, but I really like how the yarn came out. There isn't too much pooling. We get a little bit of pooling here. But I mean, you start at the top and you increase along the raglan lines, and so you're bound to get some pooling somewhere because the row count changes every row. Over here we have pooling of the blue. But once I got past the armholes and it's just straight down without shaping, it really turned out pretty good. I thought the pattern distribution was really lovely. How convenient. Yeah. So that's one thing I've made. I have blocked this already because I wanted to see how big it was accurately. It's pretty much too big for a newborn baby, I think. But that's okay, they grow. It's for a friend who's having a baby in August, which will be cold here. Pretty cold, but I'm sure that they will get some use out of that. So I really ought to finish it. I've been letting it go. So the next thing I've been knitting, and you will be so proud of me, is my fallow sweater. This is a pattern that I got out of my Knitter magazine. Oh my gosh, it's inside out, hold on. I got it out of the Knitter magazine and I modified it a little, but anyway, I've finished the main body of the jumper and it does fit. It's a little bit tight across my bust because there isn't actually any shaping. It's just straight from the waist. It's straight up. So of course it's a little bit tight on my bust, which is bigger than the rest of me, and feels good. I'm a bit annoyed about, can you see at the very center of the V neck, it sort of gapes a little bit, especially when worn because it pulls a little bit. So that's annoying. I hope that it will fix itself in blocking a bit. If not, I'll have to go in with a needle and some yarn and sew it up a bit because I don't like the gaping that it does when it's being worn. Apart from that, it's pretty good. I knit the neckline a little bit wider because I saw on some people's projects that it was sort of really wide on their shoulders. I didn't want that. But yeah, I managed to keep the pattern pretty consistent. You can see over here I haven't got all of the yarn overs I'm meant to, but I don't mind. Maybe I just don't care. It's been such a tough thing to make, and you know I've been doing it for like a year, and I don't want to do it anymore. So now I just have to knit the sleeves down, because like I told you last week, I undid the sleeves that I had already knit, and instead I did a provisional cast on and knit them up from really short so that I could then knit them down in the round and knit them to an accurate length. Also, when I'm finished, I'm going to over dye this so that I don't get this horrible line across here. So there you go, that's my fallow sweater. I really should do that too. I hope that when it blocks, it will block a little bit larger around the bust because it's too tight, just way too tight. So I know that I have enough yarn for the sleeves now. I was worried about it, but I have the yarn that I wound off from the sleeves. So there must be enough. And I've got a little bit more of a cake of yarn. So that's that project still going. And my last work in progress is down here, is the blanket that I'm knitting for my friend for her wedding. There it is. So when it's on the needles, it doesn't appear to be very wide, but it is going to be wide enough. There, see, it just smushes up together. But it will be wide enough. I made sure to measure a swatch, and it should stretch out to about that big. And then, so there's plenty. This is very stretchy stuff. It smells so sheepy. It just smells like it just came off a sheep. And I didn't really notice this until my dad pointed it out. It smells like a barnyard. So anyway, this yarn is Bendigo Woolen Mills undyed 16 ply, and it's just wool. Pretty thick. I would say that is a bulky weight yarn, or chunky, I don't know. It's thicker than worsted, but it's not a huge yarn. And the pattern is one that I made up based on looking at this blanket, which was given to us for our wedding. There it is. Similar. This yarn is pretty thick and thin. Also, interestingly, it has a thread of another fibre running through it, and you can see, if I bring this up really close, you might be able to see, yeah, you can see that there are like threads. That was held double with the yarn. And this is basically unspun yarn. So it's just, yeah. So that's interesting. It's getting a bit pilly now. We've used it a lot. We love this, love this blanket. We use it all the time. But I think this will be just as lovely. It's already very lovely and warm whenever I knit it. I haven't been knitting it quite so much recently for some reason. So it's only that long. Can't even see. So not very long. It needs to be about 3.5 times bigger than this. I've used 2 out of my 7 balls of yarn, so that's where I got that number from, 3.5. The ball, this is a complete ball of the yarn after it had been balled up. Comes in big skeins. So sheepy. It's not a bad smell, it's just sheepy. So yeah, pretty big ball. And I'm keeping this in a humongous bag. I'll show you. This is a big bag that my mother-in-law got me from the Museum of Fabric in Lyon, France. And it's got all of these pictures of fabric on there. My mother-in-law sews, and so do I. And so it's a really lovely bag. All of the little fabric patches are different on both sides, so it's lovely. Yeah, so that is all of my works in progress for the week. Oh my gosh, so huge and sheepy. It's getting kind of heavy, actually. So I'm thinking of writing this up and releasing it on Ravelry. It's not very hard. It's a 16-row repeat with alternating cables, but all the cables go the same way. I think it's really pretty. Every time I do a cable, I feel like it's more like a blanket, and it's lovely. So next up on my needles, I have got another foot tracing of my friend Kerry, whose birthday it was recently, and I didn't have time to get her a present, so I said that I would knit her some socks. So she came around yesterday for a coffee. She doesn't drink coffee. She came around for a water, and I traced her foot, and she said she doesn't mind what yarn I use, but she's interested in trying out some of my self-striping sock yarn. So this is my galah colour. This is funny. My husband and I need to, excuse me. My husband and I skeined this up into a very long skein. So you've got the dark colours here and the light colours here, which is kind of fun. And then what did we do? He sort of tied it up like a pretzel or something. So it looks pretty cool. That's like this, but it will take a little bit of doing to get it into a normal skein. Always does. I don't know how he had that before. So yeah, I'm thinking of knitting my friend Kerry some socks, maybe out of this, but I might dye her something else. Yeah, I haven't got any, like, you know, I'm moving away, so I'm trying not to buy anything new, but I bought some blank yarn to dye up. I bought 5 sock blanks, which is really exciting. I've never dyed with sock blanks, and I'm super pumped about this. So they come just like this, and when you look at it, it's 2 strands knitted together, so like it's going to end up as 2 50-gram balls of yarn, and they would match identically, which is super cool. So I've never used them before, but I've been thinking about it for a while. It's lovely and soft. It's beautiful. So they are going to make a lovely pair of socks, and I've got 5 of these. Unfortunately, sock blanks are significantly more expensive than just skeins, for obvious reasons. A lot more work has gone into preparing this. But anyway, I bought that. I bought 5 of them. And I bought 10 blank sock yarn skeins, just normal sock yarn, 75% merino, 25% nylon. So that's just for normal dyeing. Yeah, so I've got 10 of them, 5 sock blanks, and I also bought some sparkly blank yarn. Can't really see it, it's too white, but there's sparkle in there, so I'm going to dye them up as well. So I'll have some sparkly yarn, so that's exciting. So that's my acquisitions. I'm not really buying any yarn for myself for a while. I'm not sure how we're going to get stuff to Norway when we move, so I'll have to think about that. So in my shop at the moment, I've got 2 skeins of my galah self-striping yarn, and if you buy it, I will skein it up properly. But my idea with this is that the gradient goes from a very dark pink through to a light pink, and then from a light pink to a light grey, and then through to a dark grey, and back again. So as you knit, it'll be like a little gradient. So I'm really looking forward to knitting this up, actually. So I think I'm going to knit a pair of socks out of this myself and see how it goes. And then I'll have pictures to put on my Etsy site as well, which would be good. Also on my shop at the moment, I've still got these alpaca skeins, which I think are really pretty, but no one else seems to want to buy. So I've put the price down to $16 each, and I might even put it down to $12 because I would just like to sell them. They're really nice and soft, so they're a DK weight or 8 ply, and they kind of go together, don't they? So I'm thinking if they don't sell, I might put them together as a pack and sell them, or I might sell them somewhere else. And I've also got on my Etsy shop one last skein of my rainbow splash yarn, and this is the purple one. So it goes from a dark purple through to a light purple and then a rainbow, which is fun. I really enjoyed making that. It was super duper fun. And yeah, it didn't end up being that popular, but what I think is that, or I know, it will end up a bit like this, except with shorter stripes of rainbow, maybe half that length, and probably also half the length of the blue. So the distribution would be similar, but different lengths. I'm not very good at skeins. I've done it a lot of times, but I'm still not very good at it. So, excuse me. So, you remember that we had a knit along recently, and I announced 3 winners, but only 2 of them have contacted me. So please, Mary, whose Ravelry profile name is The Needle Nuke, The Needle, N-E-U-K, has not gotten in touch with me. So please get in touch with me, and if she hasn't gotten in touch with me by next week, I will draw another winner, not wiener, from the thread. I think that's fair. I think that it's not really fair to go into a knit along if you don't watch the podcast and you're not looking out for your name. So yeah, so I think that that's only fair to draw another winner. Okay, yeah, so that's my shop news and my, there's a bit of alpaca in my mouth. That's my shop news, that's my knitting news, that's my acquisitions. I suppose I better tell you what I've been up to for a couple of weeks. Just putting some stuff away. So, as you know, last fortnight I told you that my husband and I are moving to Norway at the end of semester. So, the end of July actually is when we're moving, or the beginning of August, not sure. My friend who I'm giving this to, her wedding is on the 30th of July, and the job starts in Norway on the 8th of August. So somewhere in between there, we have to move to Oslo in Norway. Oh gosh, this is heavy. You know what? I might knit the socks instead. So we've got to do that, which is very exciting and pretty scary, actually. Last week I decided that I would drop a little bit of the teaching that I've been doing. So I teach at, I guess, 3 campuses, and I dropped the one campus that has the least amount of work. So that's 2 hours that I won't be doing there, and I've decided I won't be taking on any new students this next term. So there should only be reduction in work, and that's just so that I can get everything done that needs to happen. I've got a lot of knitting to do before we leave, and a lot of packing, and a lot of throwing things away. So I've got to do a lot of that. And I just wanted to thank everybody who gave me advice or stories or suggestions. It was really kind, and I read everything, I replied to everything, and I appreciate your good wishes. I loved it when people told me about when they had moved and it turned out good, and I loved it when people actually in Norway gave me helpful advice. So thank you so much, everybody. I want to especially thank, here's my thread. I wanted to especially thank Simply Anchor, who's been writing to me, and Iril on Ravelry, who also won the giveaway last week. She's been very helpful to me because she lives there. So that's good. So thanks very much, everybody. Yeah, I'm not super worried about it right now. This coming week, my husband is off work, so he's going to do a lot of organising for us. He's going to ring up the embassy and talk to them about some visa things that we're stuck on. I think they have to take your passport away and put a chip in it or something, and that could be problematic because my husband has to travel in May. So we're going to ring them up and talk to them about that. So I'm glad that he can do that this week. I'm still at work this coming week, unfortunately. Last week of term, and then I'm on 2 weeks off. So that will be great. Yeah, so hopefully next term I can squeeze all my teaching into 3 days instead of 4 or 5. And then I'll be able to get a lot more stuff done before we go. Yeah, so we've just been getting rid of things and hanging out, and I've been knitting. So yeah, it's been really good. We've had some pretty stressful family situations over the past couple of weeks, specific to my brother who has been living in Melbourne. Yeah, he's been pretty unwell and emotionally unwell for a few weeks now. And yesterday things reached a kind of crisis point, and my parents drove down to Melbourne and they're bringing him home to here today to look after him, basically. So I don't want to go into the details, but he will get better. But he's had a rough thing happen to him, so he's in a state, and I've been really upset and worried about him for quite a few days now. It's been hard to go to work when I'm so worried about a loved one, but I did, which was amazing. I think I have a bit of trouble regulating my emotions, which is troubling, but I think you just need to practice it. It's like a muscle, in a way, is being able to control yourself. So I'm working on that. I'm pretty okay apart from that. I think I have an ear infection. You remember when I had my cold like 2 months ago? I still have a sore ear, like a sore blocked ear from it. And I've been trying to use like nasal decongestants to get the little tubes to open and stuff to flow out, but it doesn't seem to be working, so I might have to see someone about that. I don't think